Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Keith K.L. Belvin here, crisis specialist, professional counselor. Happy Friday morning. That was Leela James. Put it on me. Ooh, yes. Actually, great song. Pray everything is well. Thank you for joining. And again, if this is your first time checking me out, I am a crisis specialist, meaning that I am the person that people call when they're going through something bad, if you want to use that term. But when they're going through something, I'm the person that you call, and I am a professional. This is what I do for a living. I am a former educator, mentor, speaker, and author. But this is a Q&A and check-in. So what that simply means is I am here to answer any questions that you have from a professional's point of view, as well as a counselor's point of view, and a man's point of view. And also let me know where you're looking at me from. So wherever you are, wherever you're joining me from, throw it in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. And I am here to have a conversation for a little while. So let's talk. Come on. Appreciate you. Thank you for tapping the screen. That lets me know that you're digging the conversation. That also sends word to TikTok to let other people see this on their For You page. So again, if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to bring to the table, let's go. Last night, had the opportunity of being invited to be on a person's live to talk about intimacy and men, and why men, we don't practice as much intimacy as we could. And basically, like I explained last night to the sister, shout out to Jay Valencia Jones, who had me on her show last night. It was really, we had fun, had a great conversation, and the sister and I travel in some of the same business circles. So I really enjoyed the conversation with her. But again, in talking about intimacy, and you guys can join in if you like, I think part of the issues with some of our brothers in intimacy is because, and myself included, we weren't taught intimacy. A lot of brothers were never taught intimacy, especially men of color. You know, we were taught sex. We were taught romance to a degree, but intimacy, we weren't taught how to be openly emotional or how to express that simply because it wasn't favored. It wasn't smiled upon. And often we had folks who would literally just say, don't, they would actually equate it to weakness. Some men equate intimacy to weakness. They don't want to allow that side of themselves to be seen, but only to particular women. I personally, now that I've gotten a little older, a little more mature, understand that the intimacy is necessary. That it is a fantastic expression of how one feels about the person that they're with. And I think that that's a fantastic thing. So again, if you are here and you are in the chat or you're passing by, feel free to ask any question that you like. I'm here for it. I'm here for a little bit, and I will gladly answer any question. Or let me know where you're watching me from. All right, check in. Let me know. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Appreciate you. Where you checking in from? Is that Shafe or Shaft? Mississippi. Okay. I've never been to Mississippi. Okay. The crooked legislators I've heard. How are you doing today? I'm glad you stopped by. Glad you introduced yourself. What's going on, King of Spades? But I am definitely here to answer any questions. Hey, I'm Mr. Sir, my radio. Okay, cool. Appreciate you. Good morning from Alabama. Okay. We got a couple from Alabama. Appreciate you. Spade. What's going on, King of Spade? How you doing? And by all means, guys, listen, ask any question. And if you want to come in the box, the only rule that I have with coming in the box here with me is that you have to offer something in the chat first so we can have some type of dialogue before you jump in here. Because I made the mistake of letting some weirdo in the box and it was just hell trying to get rid of him. So, but definitely let me, any questions that you have, anything that you want to discuss, I'm open for it. I'm here for that. All right, this is an open Q&A. I am a professional counselor. I am a crisis specialist. This is something that I deal with. And during this time of the year, what's extremely critical, from Philly, shout out to Philly. I'm not too far from the Philly area. I'm in Delaware, originally from New York. One of the biggest things around this time of the year is that people get emotional about people that's no longer in their lives. I did a video where Thanksgiving Eve actually is a big day for me. I lost a student to gun violence in 2001, and then I lost a friend of mine 4 years ago to gun violence. And that was, so the eve is an issue for me, but I deal with it simply because I accept it. I'm here. I keep those in my heart, but Jesus Christ tells us brings our trouble. Yes, we do, but we still have to do something after we bring the troubles to him. And as a man of faith, I'm a believer in that, but we still have to do something on this side after we've prayed and after we've presented our problems to our faith. And we also have to accept the ideas that come from when we present things to our faith. Okay, you're free to feel that you don't need to do anything, but it actually says faith without works is what? So there's still work to be done. And what that means is bring it to him means that we have to follow the pathway that he laid out for us, which we still got work to do, especially as people of faith. And the works that we do represent the faith that we have. We give something, you don't take it back. We give something. What is we? Who is we? You have to clarify that for me. Who is we? Because again, the faith itself is an action. When we represent the faith, when we're living it and being it, that's what people recognize. People recognize the works of Jesus, and that is what attracted them, and his words matched his works. Often our words don't match our works, and that's why people get so frustrated with the faith and walk away. If we're going to emulate the faith in the right way, our actions have to align with the very faith that we claim. When we give it, he leaves it, we leave it in his hands. But again, leaving it in his hands still comes down to the work. James actually said, praying is not enough. Give somebody a coat. That's action. You think Kanye West is crazy? As a professional, I would never say that because I've never had a chance to sit down and speak to the man. I think what happens is people go on what they've seen, which is what's on television. And television is slighted to let you see what they want you to see. So to say he's crazy, no. I have never had a professional opportunity to go over a clinical situation with him. So there's no way of knowing what he is or isn't. I know he said some things that would create an issue for a lot of people, but he also has said some things that are very truthful. So I think with anything else, when it comes to people I've never met, it's hard for me to offer a diagnosis of somebody being crazy. You have to activate your faith. Yeah, we do it by faith. Faith, yes. And what is faith? Works. Scripture talks about that. Faith without works. We have to work. Faith alone is not enough. You have to do the work. James says, show me faith with no works and I will. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, minister. Appreciate you. Thank you. But we have to do the work. And when we say do the work, it is by what you see. But again, I appreciate you. And again, if anybody's here for the first time, tap the screen. Again, that is a way to let TikTok know that we're here and we're doing something here. And again, this is a Q&A and check-in, so I'm open to whatever questions that you want to ask, by all means. And I said to you before, I'm a crisis specialist. I am a professional counselor. I'm also a Christian counselor, too. I create mental health ministries for churches who help them supply the mental health that people need. And we go from there. And so the idea is that I'm a man of faith. I've never backed away from that. It is what it is. But this is what we do. Well, I think, Minister, what I realize is that when it comes to the faith itself, people are going to feel and think what they... I don't get into spiritual debates because in the end, you're going to believe what you believe and you're going to do what you do. I can only offer how I see it, how I think it, how I feel it. Now, I do have a master's degree in human service counseling specializing in Christian ministry, but I do not debate because in counseling, there is no debate. You need help. I am here to help. And I am here to have that conversation. The thing that I stay away from is conversations that have no off-ramp, meaning that where are we going to go? We're going to circle around and come back to the same place. So we could sit and go through the Bible 9 times over and keep pulling out different things to be able to have a conversation. The real question is, what are you trying to achieve with who you are working with? Well, those schools teach man-made. Okay, you're entitled to your belief. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to argue with that. Richard, you're entitled. My job is not to debate you, Richard. My job is not to say you're wrong and you can say whatever you like, because what's the point? There's no end goal there. And there's no ending there, because your mind is made up, and that's okay. But I'm here if you have a question, because right now it's just been a series of statements. What is your question, Richard? I'm not fighting. See, that's the problem. You said we're not fighting. There is no fight. A fight requires two people. What do you think of Donald Trump? I don't think he was a good president, and I'll leave it at that. And I lived in New York during the Trump era. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump because a lot of people have been duped, because I was in New York and seen how he behaved. Hang out with hip hop artists and a whole lot of people that he now denigrates. He moves where he needs to move to make money. Classic grifting. But because the rest of the country hadn't really experienced him when he was in New York, they see what, again, media wants you to see. I lived in New York for 40 years, 30 years. There's a whole lot going on right there. Oh, he's going to do what he got to do. Listen, he's going to hang out with whoever's going to help him put him in a position of power. So, but the one thing I don't get into is politics. I know it's an open Q&A, but politics is not my thing. I'm an independent, and I don't bother with either side because I think the whole system's crooked. I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, yeah, he wants what he wants. But that's if you really look at the way the political structure is set up. Everybody that you see a lot, I'll say many of the people you see moving right now in the political diaspora is moving to get what they want while not addressing the real issues. So that's the thing. Creating laws and other stuff that don't actually help the people, because when you have the people stating what they need and you choose not to listen to the people, then you're not really representing me. So why would I have a conversation about you? When literally every poll that you see in certain areas say one thing, but people go, nope, we know what's better for you, so we're going to make those decisions for you. I can't rock with that. That's why I'm an independent. I sit back in the middle, and whoever's going to help me help the children that I work with, help the adults that I work with, help the men and women that I work with, well, then I'm going to listen to you, because at the end of the day, you got to pray to and live with whatever rules that you follow and whatever God you pray to. I'll give you a good book, though. Christ in Crisis. I think the author's name is Harris. Christ in Crisis is actually a great book, because it talks about how 97% of the people in politics, Christ in Crisis, are actually identify Jim Wallace. Yeah, that's it. Christ in Crisis by Jim Wallace. He talks about how 97% of the people in politics identify as Christian, right? But they don't put laws in place that align with their faith. So he's like, how is that even a possible thing? Wait, would he help keep people out of, they don't need to be here? What? Wall would keep people out that don't need to be here. Who makes that decision? When on the Statue of Liberty, it says, give me your tired, your poor, or whatever. So we have a statue that says come, but then everybody's saying build a wall for people that don't need to be here. Again, makes no sense. These are the things that you got to be careful in saying when you say who don't need to be here. Who makes that decision? I have been good. Thank you for asking. I have been good. Long time, brother, long time. But yeah, I'm here, and this is what I do. I started going live on TikTok simply because on some of the other apps, the censorship had gotten kind of high. Plus, some people had asked me to go live over here. I don't go live as much over here simply because there's way too much foolishness here. But, I do what I do. I come on once a week. I have an open dialogue where, as long as it don't get crazy, simply because I don't waste time. I'm good, brother. Listen, I'm here. I got up this morning. I'm great. And this is what I do. They don't need to be here legally. See, that's the problem. Yes, they need to be here legally. But when you change the laws for people to get the help that they need when they flee tyranny or problems in other countries, and you make them political pawns, then we are the ones being illegal. We actually tell people to come here, and if they have legitimate reasons, they're supposed to be allowed to be here. But we have people who have said, nope, you cannot come here because we have a problem with you, or we have a problem that if you come, you're going to choose a particular party. That's a problem. And as a former educator, that's a problem. Because just look up what asylum is, and we're supposed to grant people asylum, but all of a sudden we change the laws so folks cannot get true asylum. So then we put them in situations. So then who is the we? Because we're supposed to accept other people. So the funny thing is, some of the same people who say this say they're Christians, but then that means Jesus would have never got in, because remember, Jesus was a foreigner in a lot of places and was not received. So then what are we supposed to do? This is why I don't get into the whole political thing, because at the end of it, that's the problem is, are you really doing the faith the way it's supposed to? But instead of focusing on culture wars, where it's not a matter of just evangelicals. We got to get away from the white and black evangelical. We have to get away from the color designation. It's not necessary. Because whether you're a white evangelical, black evangelical, if you claim to be a person who believes in a Christian faith, but you rock with laws that actually hurt people, well, then what part of the faith is that? Exactly. They didn't respect him when he came from Nazareth, so he couldn't even get a room. Well, there was no room at the inn, but he was fleeing because of people trying to do him dirt. If we're not going to have a real conversation, and as a former educator of 22 years, New York City school system, if you're not going to have a real conversation about how things were put into place, then what is the point of all the rhetoric back and forth? If you're not going to acknowledge that Indians were here and genocide was committed, if we're not going to act like slavery happened, if we're not going to act like wealth in certain arenas was stolen from other places, and have real conversations, if we're not going to talk about that there are white allies and not all white people are racist, if we're not going to have real conversations, then what are we doing? And the funny thing is, on both sides, white, black, and indifferent, I am in the middle for a reason. You keep telling us about all your schooling. No, I did not. I said I talked about 1 degree and I talked about me as a teaching. Is that offensive to you, Richard? What is it that you would like me to explain to you? I am referencing my background as a way to show you that I have knowledge about what I say. So I don't understand why that would bother you. Always been a division between, oh yeah, there's always been a division, but the way that we close the division is by bringing light to the fact that people are people. It has never been about color. Color is a construct. We're all human. Our colors range because of the amount of melanin in our skin, but color is a construct. We're humans. There is no actual white or black if you think about it. It is all different hues of degrees of melanin. But because we slap a label on it, it then makes it easier to put things into position which work for the people that use it. So I don't get into that foolishness because it allows people to try to react, because then people want to move the chess pieces around the board to be able to say white people this and black people this. It's people. And in my mentor programs, when I first started mentor programs in New York, people are people, but there's a system oh yeah, of course there's a system. Because think about it. If I'm going to steal anything, the first thing I have to do is secure what I stole. It's the way you wrote it, Richard, and that's the problem with social media. That one of the reasons why I don't go live as much is because people don't explain, and it creates an issue. I can only go on what I read. But that's the thing, is that the idea is what we have to do is we have to look deeper. If we're children of faith, if we're children of God, if you're Muslim, my Muslim brothers and sisters, my Sikh brothers and sisters, my Jewish brothers and sisters, we're still all humans. We choose a particular faith that guides our lives. Okay, but in the end, we're still human. And we still have the same human characteristics. We want to love, we want to take care of our own, we want to protect ourselves, and we want to be able to excel at who we are. That doesn't change because of skin color. What happens is skin color allows people to get away with other things. Skin color allows people to do certain things. For what? What? Because of gain, because of power. It's going to come down to power. And that's why when it says the love of money is the root of all evil, because once you become enamored with any particular thing, and power is a drug too. Don't get it twisted. Power is a drug. Power is an incredible drug. Nobody lays down power. No one says, you know what, I am in a super powerful position. I'm just going to lay that down. Who's backpedaling? If it don't always put what I add to show it changing. Okay. Who's backpedaling? Help me out. Am I backpedaling? If I am, please explain how. I'm here for the conversation. I don't run from it. I'm always here to learn. Who's backpedaling? Help me out. I understand, Richard. It's okay. Listen, I don't get bent out of shape. I just respond to what I see. The opportunity to have a conversation. Thank you. I appreciate you. I pray the same for you and your family. Hey, you mentioned something about Muslims. I wanted to say, I know. Hold on a second. Let's see. That's right. Jesus is not what's going into a man that defile him, but what comes out. Okay. Hey, you mentioned something about Muslims. I wanted to say, I know and work with a lot of refugees. Okay. That's cool. And I hope that you're protecting them and having conversations with them. Muslim, I got a ton of folks who practice all different faiths. I respect all, simply because what you choose, how you choose your faith is on you. What I look is how you treat people. How are you treating people, and how do you treat yourself? And as a counselor, I'm open to all walks to talk. I don't just deal with Christian folks in my practice. I talk to everybody. I deal with secular folks, and you don't have to believe what I believe. And my faith doesn't come into play when I'm in a counseling session with you. I'm trying to deal with the problem. And the thing is, I do connect with people from my faith, but if your faith is driving you in a particular way, let's have that conversation. Management doesn't know how to work with them. It's very nice working with them using translate. Okay. Well, that's a conversation you can have with management if you see that things are wrong. And if you have a translator who can convey what is really the problem, nothing wrong with that. And I think the beautiful thing of living in New York, you see people from all different cultures. A lot, but being open-minded is the only way to progress. You have to be. You can progress in a closed-minded situation, but then the thing is, you'll only limit yourself to the people who think like you do. And social media has provided people with that situation, is that they can literally get fed every day only what they want. And so after a while, they don't listen to anybody else because it doesn't align with what they hear and what they see. I'm in Vernon. Hey, here we go. And let me just reset the room real quick. Hey, how you doing, guys? I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, professional counselor, educator, author, and mentor. And I come on every week, 11:30 to whatever time, normally about an hour and a half, depending on the conversation. And this is a simple Q&A and check-in. So when you come in, let me know where you're seeing me from, and I am open to questions. Now, I may not answer the questions that you expect and answer it the way that you expect. Some things I don't get super into because, again, if there's nothing there, I'll be respectful and give an answer. But I may not get into the conversation about what it is that you may want to converse. The thing I also do not do on social media is go back and forth over foolishness. You win. Or you will hear me say, okay. And it is not, thank you, I appreciate that, chat. It is not being disrespectful. It is that I will not gauge in stuff that has no point of value for me. Because it's a waste of my time and it's wasting your time. And I don't want to do that. So I don't. But I am here. I enjoy a good conversation. And hello from North Carolina. Okay, let's go. And I had originally started talking about intimacy. I don't know how we got on the faith, or the politics. But again, wherever it goes, it goes. Don't put energy into Yeah, listen. Here's what the funny thing with negativity. I'll address it, but you're not going to get a whole lot from me there. Really not. What are your thoughts on the need and importance of water baptism? My thoughts is baptism is a well needed ritual. Now, whether you believe in water baptism, sprinkles or not, that is on you. I'm gonna leave it at that. I believe it is a needed ritual. But if you do not get water baptized, you can still make it into heaven. I'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that because we talked about that in one of my classes where we had to choose a side to have that conversation about the different types of baptism and which one is the situation there. So, but again, if you're here, appreciate you, and I am here for the dialogue, here to meet some of the folks who have never. What were you going on about intimacy? I must have missed that. No, I mentioned at the beginning. I was talking about intimacy because last night I was on a person that invited me on to have a conversation about men and intimacy. And what I was talking about is a lot of men don't act on or show the intimacy side of themselves because for many of us, it wasn't something that was taught to us early. And actually, even some of us now in our circles of brothers, intimacy may not be the thing that is expressed. So you cannot get good at something that you do not practice. So many brothers will only show intimacy to the particular person that they're connected to when it's private because they know that they're putting themselves into an uncomfortable area. And what I do in trying to have conversations is to try to make certain things, especially with the brothers, more natural. Intimacy should be a natural thing. It should be a thing that you want to express to your partner, that you enjoy expressing to your partner. And it's not always connected to sex. Many will connect intimacy to sex when sex is just an outwardly or physical expression of how you feel. But the intimacy starts with the feelings on the inside and then how you choose to express those on the outside. So I had started that at the beginning, but then, like I said, the questions take care of themselves. And I'm here for it. I mean, because I think, sadly, too many conversations spiral down to negativity because you'll have people who don't want to let go. And they will literally drag themselves into a fight, a debate, just because. Some things you got to let go. Some things you got to say, okay, you got it. I don't lose if a person comes away going, that's right, he couldn't answer my question. Okay. I do that online. If somebody responds to something that I post in a real negative way, there's only three ways you'll normally see me respond. I may give a little short retort, or you'll get 3 smiley faces. I don't know why 3. It could be just 1, but I choose 3. Or I just simply say, okay. I've been on social media since 1994. When it was Netscape something, and before AOL, and it was MSN and Netscape were like the only ways to get on social media. And so, hold on one second. There we go. I decline. I'll get back on that later. I hope it doesn't knock me off. I'll get back on my call later. There we go. That's true. You control what you put. Oh, yeah, of course. And I control me. I let my inner nerd come out and do this. There you go. Listen. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Look, Mr. Spock was the most logical dude on the planet. Captain Kirk was trying to blow up the ship. Spock would be like, Captain, that's not really the smoothest move. And I don't know why you would do that. And Jim would be like, they not taking the ship. We gonna blow it up. And Spock would be like, okay. Spock was like, yo, I'm the first mate. If you gonna blow it up, okay, let's blow it up then. But if you peep Mr. Spock, his logic was necessary because Captain Kirk's courage and valor was reckless at times, so he needed Spock to be the logical side. Bones was the emotional side. Actually, if you go and look up Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, you're going to see that he created Star Trek to emulate the way he would like to see things done in the world. Good morning. Gene Roddenberry was fantastic in the way that he wrote, because he tried to write in the different issues going in the world in the science fiction package. If you would read the Star Trek books, and I'm corny, I have a big comic collection, but I've read some of the Star Trek books, you will see that Gene Roddenberry was on point in being able to work in racial and other issues and other social economic issues into Star Trek lore. So it's actually pretty good. My content is focused on bringing the gap in the feminist movement, trying to help anyway and humor. Okay, I respect that. Cool, Broken Arrow. And Positive Lady, good morning. And again, if you guys are just checking in, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, professional counselor. I am here. My dad got me into the books when I was, oh, there you go. And that's another thing too, what you expose children to. I do run a mentor program this year for elementary age kids between the ages of 8 and 12. Normally my mentor program, the Young Kings and now this year Young Queens, runs, it was normally high school kids when I started in New York in 2010. Then it went to middle school kids. And then when I moved to Delaware in 2016, I restarted the program again in 2019. So I've worked with the local prison here. I've worked with a couple local schools. This year I'm working with a school system up north here in Delaware. So this, and with the 8 to 12-year-olds, which is different because that hour and a half is a long time for them. We break it up to kind of work on social emotional issues, to work on behaviors, to work on expressions that do not connect to violence. Because what I've noticed with our younger kids is that they're drifting to violence quicker than in the past. And so my thing is that have that open conversation to teach them how to be able to express themselves using their words instead of their hands. And so a lot of the cooperative games that I use and a lot of the conversation things that we put in place are designed to allow the kids to express themselves in a way. And thank you for the hearts. I see you. To express you in a way that does not lead them to getting in trouble. I am a former dean of students. And one of the things I noticed when kids would come to my office, the level of aggression that they would have. So my first goal was to get that down. Let's get that fire down. Because when you're in the midst of aggression, you cannot focus. You cannot even hear. So there's no way for me to reach you. Hey, what's going on? I'm good. I'm here. I'm doing my thing. And so the first thing is once I can get you calm, now we can talk. You don't bring energy to energy because it'll just increase. So my job is to speak softer. My job is to get the child calm, and now we can talk. I'm going to let you in on a trick I used to use, and parents, you could do this. You may not want to. I had a very soft couch in my office when I was in Brooklyn, right? And the reason why is it's like a big marshmallow. When you sit in it, you kind of just, it's not firm. So when they would fall into it, you angry, but you know how hard it is to be angry when sitting on a big marshmallow? And it's funny watching their faces when they want to struggle, but the marshmallow's like, nah, we're not going nowhere. It actually would help me with getting calm. How often do you just have to listen to the children? All the time. Oh, I listen. That's my thing. You have to listen to children. It is something that I beg parents to listen. I got a video on my page. Okay, I'll give you one. Thank you, Broken Arrow, for mentioning that. I brought up to the kids in session, right? And I said, have you ever noticed that adults speak very loud or scream when you're doing bad or negative? But do you notice that they do not talk or speak as loud when you're doing good or great? How does that make you feel? One of the young men, without even thinking about it, said, it makes you not want to do what's good. And I said, you're exactly right. And I talk about that often. We don't listen to children and get on their level. And I used to do that in the classroom when trying to explain to other educators. You want to reach children, they have to know you're listening. All of my students that I have ever worked with know that Mr. B listens. I may not be able to act on what you tell me. I may not be able to do something right at that moment. But what you are going to get is my undivided attention so I can hear it. And now I can start to piece together what's necessary. Often as parents, when I work with parents, and I talk about this because I had a contract with the government where they brought me in to talk to officers on how to talk to their children during the whole George Floyd situation. And a lot of their kids was nervous or scared because they're like, my mother, my father, my auntie, my whoever is an officer, and all these bad things are happening. Or is my parents doing that? And I said, go home and listen to them. Go home and let them explain what their fears are. Go home and let them tell you what they think about what you do. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to quit your job and stop being an officer. But what it'll give you is insight to what your own children are thinking. So what do you think is going to happen when you have to go work or deal with someone else's children? Because if your children have these fears, then what do you think other people are feeling when you show up? So how you present that, well, there you go. LMHC. Okay, licensed social. Okay, cool. The younger the better. Once you have your kids open up and trust, it's such a big deal, without question. Are you asking what are you asking, Siege? Is that Siege Sepper? Cyper? But yes, the earlier, but kids can be reached at any age. It's just a matter of getting through either their fears or their aggression. My credentials. Oh, I'm sorry. I have, chef, I have a master's in education, and I have a master's in human service counseling, specializing in Christian ministry, and I have a master's in education, specializing in assessments, curriculum writing, and teaching. I'm also a former certified investigator here for the state of Delaware, and I am a certified marriage counselor. That sounds like a clear and insightful counsel. Well, this is what I provide. I think what happens is, good afternoon from Kissimmee. Hey, yes, also, let me know where you're checking in from. Chef, I know you're from Brooklyn. Shout out to Chef. Ethel Annie Mae's Soul Food right there in Crown Heights. Y'all better go check her out. Do you work with people? Oh, that's all I do is virtual counseling now because of COVID. I work with people all over the country and even have a client in Italy. So yes, I work with people all over the country. And this is what I do. And hey, from the Bronx, I am originally from South Jamaica, Queens, and spent all my time in Brooklyn. Now I'm in Delaware. They don't cut it don't cut it in my state. I understand that. Listen, I hear you. I understand. I understand. I understand. I understand. I understand. But and that's why you heard me say I'm a professional counselor. You didn't hear me say I'm a licensed therapist. Therapy and counseling is two different things. I do provide therapy because I do work with an agency that I partner with, but no, it's not a gray area. It's very clear. It's not gray. You just have to be honest about it. A lot of people are scared to be honest because the minute you say you're not a therapist, people run off. I have no problem with that. I don't run from anything. And there's the gray area is what actually allows me to do the things that I do. I work with churches and provide mental health ministry. I don't provide the therapeutic plans that way unless I'm working with a supervisor. So yes, I understand that. And yes, I do have the DSM-5, which I can refer to, but that is not my line of professionality. I just said I'm a crisis specialist and professional counselor. You didn't hear me say I was a therapist. I make sure I don't make that designation out of respect to the therapists who are licensed. I said I'm a professional counselor. There is a difference. The difference between a counselor, professional counselor, and therapy is just like the person was mentioning. A therapist will actually provide therapeutic planning based on assessments done. A professional counselor provides the counseling necessary for people depending on their emotions, their situations there. So there is a difference. But because I do work with a supervisor, I am able to provide therapeutic plans through the agency that I'm partnered with. So I can do that, but that's not my focus. I do it because that is who I work with, and I was invited to come and work with the agency. But therapeutic parts is not what I do. I just said I work with a supervisor. I just said that. You just heard, did you just say that or you just want to debate with me? It's okay. I just said I work with a supervisor. I said that. I don't hide from that. It's not my main area of focus. Sounds like you're just looking to assign blame and not listen to that you say. I'm sorry, Jeff. Sounds like he's just looking to assign. Who's looking to assign blame? No, Chef. It's okay. The person can be here. I have no problem. It's that conversation is necessary because it's what some people think, and we have to have those conversations. No, but I can refer to the person that can help them if the situation is serious. That is the thing. That is why, as a crisis specialist, I make that designation if the person needs deeper therapeutic or psychological advance for that. I'm not a snake oil salesman at all, but it's okay if you feel that way. I don't stress it because I'm not knocking therapy. I refer those who need it. If deeper situations are requiring deeper level of help, yeah, of course I have all those undoubted needed. I have psychologists too that I can refer them to if you need that. But it has to be started somewhere to be able to get them to get to you, if that's what you do. No. It's okay, Chef. I don't have a problem with, listen, I am partnered with therapists. I'm not worried about anybody that thinks that what I do is negative. I have no problem with that. It's not going to be everything for everybody. And not everybody, and I get you. Seriously, I'm with you and I understand where you're coming from. And I've had these conversations in the therapeutic circles that I'm in. But I do work with a supervisor and I do work with an agency and I do provide that under supervision just for that reason, if need be. But if I believe somebody needs greater care than what I can actually provide, then I provide that. I refer them to them. But we have to start getting folks to be comfortable with the conversations to even get to. So you have consultants, you have coaches, you have counselors, you have therapists, you have psychologists, you have many folks that are all connected to getting the person the help and the relief that they need. Like a lot of therapists don't do the religious piece that I do because that's not what they do. So I offer that, but if I need to refer, I do. But it's okay if a person doesn't feel comfortable with what I do or doesn't even like what I do. It's okay. I don't fight you on that. Well, not everybody does need a higher a level of care. Depends on the situation. Depends on what they're dealing with. Not everybody does, but if they do, that is why you then refer to the therapist of people who need that type of care. And that's necessary. I don't disagree with you. That is a great point. But again, designation has to be made and the assessment needs to be done at the beginning to get it. And if a person like myself or anybody else who's in a position of me is honest, they're going to realize when they're dealing with a situation that's above them that they should not deal with, and you refer to somebody else who can handle it. But we got to be able to have those conversations to be able to get to that point because we already know that a lot of individuals do not look at mental health in a way that's positive. But I have no problem with being called on it. That's not an issue. Because, like I said, I do connect and I do work with an agency that I do have a supervisor that I meet with for certain cases that I work on. I practice a Christian faith. I'm a Christian. I'm a member of the Christian faith. Their level of help that people need, without question. Sometimes some people just need someone to talk to. You could be a little more. No, that's not. That person is not disrespectful. They're just to the point. There's nothing wrong with that. There was no disrespect in any of those questions, Broken Arrow. And a person has to be entitled to speak their truth. And if I'm not who I say I am, then it would have created a whole problem. I have no problem with a person speaking what they come from. It actually makes sure it makes me have to be able to show and improve what I'm doing. And that's okay. And I've had this conversation with other therapists that I connect with just for that reason. Yahweh is Father, Yahshua is the Savior of the world. Okay. Don't disagree. And I think that's one of the things that because you can have religious counseling, Chef. You can have religious counseling, and it's part of it. Catholics and Christians, okay, I don't disagree. I think the thing that we have to realize, guys, is that when we're conversing, we have to allow the person that you're conversing with to have their position without being attacked. It's okay that a person feels how they feel based on their experiences, whether professional or lay. It's okay. It's okay if a person doesn't agree with me or even like me. It's okay. I don't disagree. There you go. And it's all right, because at the end of the day, I choose if I want to engage. I choose if I want to answer the questions, but I can't put up it's a Q&A and then not at least address the initial point. Now, I may not go back and forth with the person, but you can't invite somebody to come and then try to censor what they come with. No, the doors is open. The doors is open, and I'm all for it, because this is why I'm here. As long as this, and I know when it's disrespectful, it's just called tact. I respect that. I respect that. But tact, you know what's funny is tact is one of those subjective words where what's tactful to you may not be for me. And that's one of the things is that, that's one of the things is that we have to be careful, because a lot of negative people will hide behind tact. And they'll think that their way of doing it. But I respect where you're coming from. I appreciate that. But I just like the fact that, I don't have a problem with people coming at me. It's part of it. And they're supposed to. And without knowing that person's history, they're supposed to protect their positioning. I don't have no problem with that. My goal is not to try to change your mind in this arena. My job is to present where I'm coming from. And if you don't agree with it, and I still learn, I'm with that. And I'm still here to learn. And sometimes you don't see it, but sometimes I reach over and I might make a little note of something that I might want to go and check up on. But we have to be able to have what could be considered uncomfortable conversations, but we also have to be able to practice how to get out of them. And that's my girl, Chef. Let me tell you something. I love Chef Danielle because she don't pull no punches. Now, if I ever wanted to just say, hey, Chef, handle that, Chef is who you call when you want to give somebody the business. No, not only is she an outstanding chef, but she is also a person that she don't play no games. She don't mix no words, and I love her for that. Okay, I understand. Is this you? I'm sorry. What did I miss? I'm sorry, Susie. Did I miss something? If I missed your question, I apologize. Please ask me again. Is this you? Is this who? I'm sorry. A good friend of mine told me there's a difference between tact and being bludgeoned. Yes, there truly is a difference between tact and bludgeon. I agree. And again, I think I saw somebody mention respect. Yes, respect is something that I realize that I try to give all the time, and it is something that I require. If I believe someone is being disrespectful, first I'll ask for clarity so I can make sure that I'm reacting the proper way. And then once I have clarity that it is somebody attempting to be disrespectful, I don't engage. I guess go ahead and block them and keep it moving. Because the longer you engage with somebody that you know is being disrespectful, the more it's going to spiral down to the negative. And there's no reason for that. And there's no reason for me to get into that with anybody else. It's not what I do. It's a waste of my time. So I just don't. I use the features that the system puts in place. We owe no one an explanation. No one does. But when you ask for questions or when you invite people into a public arena, like when you're online, people are going to bring it. Now you have to set the parameters. Like I notice when I like everybody, when I'm on TikTok, I notice that some people will say at the beginning, if you do this in the live, you're gone. If you say this in the live, you're gone. And then they set the moderators up to do whatever. I get that. I don't need moderators right now, simply because there is no particular parameters that I put in place. Now, if I had put parameters in place and said, we're only going to speak about these things, and somebody wants to become divisive, yeah, then they would have to go, because you're taking away from what we're trying to get to. Right now, it's just open. It's a hodgepodge right now, so it's open. So I'm here for it. We all can learn. Yes, we can. But the learning has to be open to the idea of allowing somebody else to have their opportunity to shine on what they say. See poetry, yes. My first book was poetry. But that's the thing, and so I appreciate you guys. And so, how's everybody doing this Friday? I hate using the term Black Friday, but how's everybody doing this? We wanted to take all your money shopping Friday, and then we're going to do it again on Cyber Monday to try to get you to push up the economics. Who's going to go out and buy some stuff they don't need today? Be honest. Who's already bought something that they didn't need? True, some people feed off the negative, but it's always good to get clarity. Oh, without question, Jeff. Is that Jeffy? And I want to make sure I get it right. But yeah, but listen, negativity. I'll give you something about negativity, right? And I talk about this. A kid walks into a crowded room of adults talking. The child walks in. The child walks in and says, "Hey, I got an A on my report card." Some of the parents will turn around and go, "Hey, congratulations." Some, not most. Another kid, same age, same height, same everything, walks through the door and says, "F all of y'all." And y'all know what the F is for. Almost everybody will pause. What did that child say? Right there, the two kids realize I can get more attention from the negative, because we have to be careful of how we react to the negative things that are said than how we react to the positive. And so we have to be very mindful of that. And it's the same thing on social media. Negativity garners more attention, so people are going to do more negative things. Hello, mister. How are you doing? I am good. Thank you for asking. I am good. And again, check in. If you have not told me where you're coming in from, let me know. Please check in and tell me where you're from. I always like to know where people are viewing me from. I appreciate it. I am blessed, not me believing in spending on material. Yeah, listen, I didn't buy anything. Listen, I ain't even cooked anything for the holiday yesterday. My wife and I, we just laid back and was relaxing because we don't actually get into the whole holiday things. It's not our thing. Shout out from California, 9:20 in the morning there. But I don't take away from those that do. And I don't knock folks who want to go out and get all their Christmas shopping in this weekend. I don't knock that either. The thing that I don't do is I don't criticize you for not doing what I do. What you do is what you do. That's okay. I do what I do, and I respect it as long as we're not rude and disrespectful. That's my thing. Because there's not a need for it. But if you feel you need to, don't get it twisted. I am still from the hood. Hello from Austin, Texas. Shout out for the big state of Texas. I am a project kid. Don't let the education fool you. My mouth is lethal sometimes. But I've learned from maturity that some of that is not necessary. And I know when I'm getting to that point, so I will go take a walk. Maturity is very real. But every now and then, somebody got to push you to the point that they get the verbal lashing. And I'm a big guy, so I'm not worried about the physical stuff either. But, it is what it is. Them days is far behind. And my goal now is try to save and protect life. Thank you so much for the roses. Thank you so much for the hearts. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring them. And please tap the screen. By tapping the screen, it allows other people to know that we're over here and they'll come and hang out with us. But this is what it is. Maturity, and maturity for me was just understanding what my positioning in this world is. I made it all about me for 37 years. I made it about me. The last 18 has been about service. And that's how I give back for all the negative things that I did when I was younger, is that now I do my best to get up every day and help somebody to get past what they're dealing with. Because I think the way you give back is not talk about it. You have to do it. It's about the action. And especially as a man of faith, I believe it's definitely about action. And so we can't allow ourselves to get caught up into petty emotions. What I mean by petty emotions is someone's opinion or someone's thoughts. Their thoughts are their own. They're allowed to think whatever. And we got some people that when you climb inside their heads, you're not going to like what you see. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to first check self. When you look in the mirror, are you okay with you? when you're interacting with people, is the best you being seen, being received? Do you believe do I believe maturity is? Do you believe maturity is indicative of age or product of one's thought? Oh, always of what you are, how you are, what you're exposed to. Age has nothing to do with it. Just go to the club. There's always some old dude in the back of the club. If you don't take your old behind home, yeah. There's always some old person at the club thinking they still 20. If you don't take your old behind home, it is about experiences. This is why we have to listen to children. Because if you don't know a child's environment, their learning might have been accelerated because of what they were exposed to. Some people feel personally attacked. I get it. And if you do, I understand it. But you might have to ask yourself, why do you feel personally attacked? You might have to understand is the triggers that are triggering you connected to something that you could fix and not what somebody has exposed. Them exposing it might actually be a good thing. But I'll give you an example. You want to see a good interview, right? Look up The Pivot, where they interviewed Ken Griffey. And Ken Griffey is a Hall of Fame baseball player, but his father was an outstanding baseball player as well. And Ken Griffey makes a great point. He says, I wasn't an ordinary 18-year-old because I spent 18-year-olds with a father who was excelling in the pros. So by 18 or by 20, I knew more than most kids my age because of who my father was. Well, then his maturity came from his environment and what was being fed into him. So, of course, him excelling as a basketball player, he had an added advantage because of what he was exposed to. And it's not by accident that you see men and women who play high levels of any type of sport or do any type of high level of business or whatever, that their kids, thank you so much for the hearts, I appreciate all of that, that their kids don't excel when there's a bridge between what they do, who they are, and what they're feeding their children. So there's no, it shows that the environment can have a major effect but it's also the person inside the environment and your social interactions with those inside the environment, which then help aid in the increase of your maturity. That's why you got to wait and give a child a chance to have a conversation, especially if you don't know that child. You don't know what that child has been exposed to. And I used to try to have to show educators this because they would literally try to push, especially in an urban environment. I would have teachers who come into an urban environment and then they want to tell urban kids what should be important to them. And I would go, but how well do you know them? How well do you understand where they come from? And I remember an English teacher and I were having a conversation once. And she said, it's a shame that these kids just can't read and rationalize on a high level. I said, oh, you think they can? She said, well, just look at the things that they pay attention to. I said, okay, well, spit me a hot 40, right? 16 bars right now. She said, do what? I said, spit me a hot 16 bars right now. I'll give you the subject. She said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, again, spit me a hot 16 and I'll give you the subject. She said, Mr. Belvin, it's not making any sense what you're saying. I said, oh, it doesn't? Okay, give me a second. And I went in the hallway, called one of my students over, and we'll just call him Jay. Come here, Jay. Jay, spit me a hot 16, any subject that you want. He said, what you want me to do? I said, whatever you want. Go ahead. Just kick it for me. He said, all right, cool, let's go. Now, it wasn't the greatest rap. It wasn't the greatest rap. But for about a hot 2 or 3 minutes, he hit on what he was saying. And a hot 16 means 16 bars to a rap line, to a rap song. He hit 16. It sounded like 16, but he got about 8 or 12. And I said, thank you. Thank you so much for interacting with me today. I have to go. All right, thank you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you. Broken Arrow, appreciate you. I'm here every Friday, 11:30. Well, I'll try to be, God willing. But I'll be here every Friday. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day and weekend. Please be safe. And when I said thank you and I said appreciate you, he said, I got you, B. I got you. And he left. I said, now. I said, I just asked this child the same thing I asked you. You had no recollection of what I was talking about. This child, all he needed was the parameters of what I was asking because he said, what do you want me to spit it on? And then he said, okay. I said, here's the problem. You don't understand what they understand, but yet you're telling them they cannot think on a higher level, but yet you with the master's degree, who then when I asked a question that they understood, you couldn't get it. So then imagine you're now in the classroom trying to reach that child with your thinking. How do you now make the bridge to the content that you are teaching to the understanding that the child has? Because if I don't address the child where they are, and the same for the adult, if I do not address the adult where they are, then how can true learning ever really happen? You cannot tell a child that they cannot rationalize or think on a higher level when you can't even understand their language. How? How, Sway? And the crazy part is she wondered why discipline was an issue in her classroom. Why should they listen to you when they already know you don't care? My kids know I care. Anybody who works with me knows I care. My passion comes through in what I do. That's why I'm stressed when you have an issue with me. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care who like me and don't like me. What I care about is fair treatment as best as I can get it. And if I don't get fair treatment, then it's on me to decide whether I'm going to stay or I'm going to leave. And I teach children that. A 7th grade teacher once told me I was the worst thing my mother ever had. Well, to him, I might have been, because he didn't understand me like that teacher didn't. But yet another teacher, Mrs. Brown, same grade, different subject. He was English, she was math, who not only understood me, she actually pushed me in areas that I didn't even think that I was good at because she understood me. So how did I excel in Miss Brown's class but struggled in Mr. and we'll leave his name out? Yep, all my boundaries start with love and care, no doubt. So you're an educator, awesome. I'm new. I'm a little bit of everything, poetry. I see poetry. I'm a former educator. 22 years, New York City school system. Now I am a counselor and a mentor, and I work with folks who are going through some things. It's what I do. I am the person that people call when they're struggling and they're having problems, when they're in crisis. And I can help you figure out what direction you need to go in to get the help that you need. And the one thing that I do, and I didn't get a chance to say to the other person that was on, I forget the name and I apologize for not, was that the thing that I won't do is hurt you. If I can't deal with your situation, I'll be the first person to back out. And I say to you, I can't handle that. Let's get you some other help. Because the one thing that everybody has to understand is you must know your limitations. And I have no problem with that. Because I think if people understand what the limits are at the moment, then you don't put people in positions where they can be hurt. And that's the same whether you're dating, that's the same on your job, whatever it is. If you know that there's issues that you haven't dealt with or you got problems with, don't bring somebody into that and you're not clear on what's going on. And this is what I do. And this is what I'm passionate about. The educator in me is just baked into the cake. I've been this way even when I was younger. So naturally gravitating to be a teacher was a natural thing. Just like for me being, a counselor, it's a natural thing. I'm here when people need somebody to talk to. It's what I do. And because when crisis is a real thing, I don't get bent out of shape. I'm here to help you do whatever you're dealing with at the time. Because the one thing I bring to the table, no matter what the situation is calm. I don't get wrecked. When we went through 9/11, that day was one of the toughest days ever in a classroom. We didn't know what was going on, but we knew we had to protect these kids. We knew we had to try to figure out what was going on. And where my school was positioned in Canarsie, Brooklyn, you could see the smoke from Lower Manhattan, but we didn't know what happened. And in my office, we went and people's phones were out. The only people that had phone service at the time, I think, was Nextel and one other company because they were using the chirping at the time. And we're all watching the TV when the second tower fell. And we now had to try to figure out, we have 1,200 kids in this school. We got to keep these kids safe. And I lived in the neighborhood, so I had to run on my break to go get my kids and take them home to my mother-in-law, then come back to school. And let me just share this story with you now that I mention this, right? Let me give this to you. And this was all the parents. So please listen to me. And I want you to be very careful in how you speak in a crisis situation um, with your children. Okay, it's very serious. And when I picked my kids up when 9/11 was happening, the first building had fell, and I had gotten my kids, and I went to bring them back, and I dropped them off with my mother-in-law. I said to my mother-in-law, I got to go back to the school because I don't know what this is, and I'm a little worried, but I got to get back to the school to be able to help out. My son, oldest son, I think he was 7, 2001. Yeah, he was like 7 at the time. Just breaks down. Just breaks down. I'm like, what's the matter, Pop? And I get down to his level. What's the matter? And he is bawling his eyes out. Now, he wasn't crying up until that point. Everything was cool. I'm like, what's the matter? And he said, Daddy, this must be really bad if you're nervous. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're not scared of anything. So if you're scared, this is bad. Oh, man. And I had to say, little man, listen to me. I'm not scared like that. I'm just scared because I want to make sure the other kids are okay. I'm good. And his eyes is wide. He said, you sure? You sure? I'm like, yes, I'm sure. That's why I came to get you to bring you home. And I'll be home. We're good. Go play. We're good. Daddy has to go back to school. And I just wanted to come get you because I got to go help the other kids who don't have a daddy like me. He was like, you sure? I said, I'm sure. And he ran back in the room and played. And when I was heading back to the school, of course, I got emotional. I'm an emotional dude. And I realized not only do I have to watch what I say, I have to make sure that I am what I say I am. Not just to my children, but to the children that are counting on me to be what I am. And when I got back to school, what was crazy was we had met briefly, and we had decided we weren't going to tell any of the students what was going on because we actually didn't have any information, but parents were rolling in on a regular to just pick their kids up like I had just did for mine. And some were covered in soot because they were down in Lower Manhattan. And I remember one of the students. Now I had a old shop room my classroom at that time was downstairs, and I had an old shop room, so it was big. So I actually had 2 classes in my room, and I would show films, or we're watching movies, or whatever. And I remember one kid said, "I know what happened." I was like, "Come here, come here, come here. Don't say anything. Even if you know, don't say anything." And you kept getting knocks on the door, and it was like, "Hey, James, come, let's go. Hey, Sarah, come on, let's go. Hey, Sally, come on, let's go. Your parents is here." And when it was all said and done, we lost 31, 31 parents that day. The assistant principal lost her husband of 31 years because he had been a New York City fire captain for 32 years. He could have retired at 30, but he stayed on. He was gone. One of our deans, he lost his daughter, who was a New York City police woman. And we lost one other person. So staff, we lost 4 people connected to the staff and 32 parents. And one poor young lady lost both her parents. And the thing for me is I remember trying to be calm. They extended school, so school was open till 6, 7 o'clock. The worst thing in the world is sitting there and kids seeing everybody go home and they're waiting on their parent and it doesn't happen. And so the reason why I don't get stressed about the way people act is I've seen what real crisis looks like. And I remember many of us didn't even want to go home. And we stayed until that little girl had her aunt. We were able to finally get in touch with her aunt. And her aunt and her cousin came to pick her up. And we had already knew, but the aunt said, no, we know, just take her. We understand. And I remember, people can say whatever they want during a crisis situation. It is the people in it, on the ground, the reactions to, just like all the people that had to react to losing someone actually there. But it's the ancillary damage that's going on at the same time. And that's why sometimes I get frustrated with people who waste time or use crisis to their advantage or want to use the feelings from a crisis for political whatever or whatever type of positioning that you're trying to get. I got issues with all of that because I've sat there and watched a man, I'm about 6'1". So I remember my brother Hank. Hank's about 6'5". And I remember him going by my classroom, and I remember seeing him in tears. And I came to him and said, "Hank, you okay?" He's like, "A effing plane just hit the damn building in Manhattan." And he was like, "My son works there." And having no words. Because I got a classroom full of kids. And the one thing I had sworn my mentor, when I first started teaching back in 90, let's see, I started with the Board of Ed in 96, 93. Yeah, 93, I was working with emotionally disturbed children in a private school. I remember my mentor telling me, mean what you say what you mean, and don't F with children's minds. And you will be able to last a long time as an educator. And I've never forgotten that. And so I don't lie to children, and I don't play games with children, and I don't put them in positions where I try to manipulate them and manipulate their emotions towards me. No. But the thing that got me was that day I had to look at tons of children and lie about not knowing what was going on when I knew, but because we had to protect them because of their ages and their situations, it was very difficult when I got home. And then, of course, my situation with my own son. And so that's why, guys, let me get back on a lighter note. That is why when I come on social media, when I'm here, it's the reason why I don't go live that often on TikTok or any platforms. I don't like conversation where negativity is rewarded. I'm a firm believer that people who consistently start fights haven't really... You know what? I like that. Yeah, there's some truth to that. I gotta... Yes. There. You know what? Yeah, that rings. That has a whole lot of truth to that, because often when you listen to the way folks talk, it's like the whole, when a person talks about fighting or they talk about shooting guns, and you kind of look and go, okay, yeah, you ain't never shot no weapon, or yeah, you ain't never been punched in the face, because that ain't how people talk when you're in a real fight. And I used to be that way when I was in New York, like, you talking, you ain't never really been in the mix. So now, back to the maturity piece. Now, as a mature, as a person who's always maturing, now I'm always about growth, and especially emotional and mental growth. We have to accept that social media is the norm, and that people are going to show up with a sense of bravado because they know they can't be touched. And we have to learn that the words that are typed on the screen have no power unless you grant them power. I don't grant them power. I'm not going to allow you to dictate my emotions when I don't even know you. I will offer what I can, say what I can, and then leave it alone. But again, this is what we're here for. So, again, if you're just joining me, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, professional counselor, author, educator. Sounds biblical. Well, listen, the faith is a major part of what I am. The thing that I don't do is preach. And I don't beat anybody over the head with my Bible. And I don't quote 1,000 scriptures, because if a person is not connected to the faith, why would you do that? Me telling you something is found in Thessalonians, no. But me telling you what effect or what it does for me may be more conducive to you to receive than me trying to quote scripture to you, because you may automatically shut down the minute that I mention the scripture. I find conversation, scripture is not necessary unless we're getting into a very deeper conversation where you can go find certain scriptures and we can have that debate. That's okay. But I think in just general conversation, when you really have gotten to where you need to be with your understanding of scripture, it should be baked into the cake of how you behave, how you speak. So when a person hears you, interacts with you, or deals with you, they go, I like where he's coming from. Because I do think it was Jesus that said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Those of us who have been there know you always get scars and wounds. That's why you don't start mess. Yeah, you can't fight a fight and win and not come away. You know, that it looks good on TV, the one round, the one punch knockdown. It looks cute. Most of the time, you in a scuffle of any, emotional or physical, you're going to come away with some bruises there. So that's true. Sharing facts can be said without question. But unfortunately, some of my brothers and sisters, all they have is to hit you with scripture because they're hoping to keep you off balance because they don't really want to have the conversation, or they'll only talk about scripture. And it can't be only about scripture. You got to be able to have a conversation where we can actually have a dialogue and you feel comfortable in your positioning. Even if you don't agree with anything I'm saying, even if you don't like me, you still got to be comfortable in. And now, here's the thing though. Don't let my allowance of comfort to make you think you can come right up to that door and be like, and you might want to back up a little bit. I allow you to be disrespectful over there. No, I'm sorry. I allow you to have your point of view over there. Disrespect is not going to be allowed. You don't want to see what happens there. My wife jokes about that. My wife goes, they always think you're a big teddy bear. I go, and that's what I want the world to see. But all bears look cuddly until you get close. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, wait a minute. What is this? You knew what I was before you walked over here. And you see it all the time with people who are feeding these animals from their car. Hey, little bear. Hey. And then the bear is tearing the door off the car. What is going on? I'm talking about who? You're talking about, who am I talking about? Oh, November 3rd. Okay, that's Bolorama. Hold on one second, guys. My screen, there we go. My screen came up. There we go. Excuse me, sorry about that. I mean, I'm talking about myself too. I mean, it's the funny thing is, I'm not a violent person. Because the thing I learned about violence is that there's no way to invoke violence without the idea of somebody getting hurt. I want to try to avoid that at all costs. Because sometimes there's no coming back from where violence will take you. Sometimes there's no coming back. So I'm going to try to do everything I can to keep violence out of the mix, out of the picture. Unless it's to protect myself, of course. And there's not too much you can do verbally. Really, I don't really think anything verbally. The reason why is because I'm always thinking of outcomes. And I'm not about to risk my position as the leader of my family over words. But if I'm put into a position physically where I have no choice, then at this point you go all out. And I understand that. That's why sometimes I will even let a person get away with verbal disrespect. Just, you got it, bro. I'm going to go ahead and go. Because I'm not ready to lose it all. And the funny thing is, I'll smile. A lot of times I just smile. What you laughing at? And what I'm laughing at, I'm like, you ain't ready to meet your maker yet. What? What'd you say? I'm just saying. With a smile. I'm ready. Because I know when I've gotten to that point, it is what it is. And I think Jay-Z said it best. Don't let the necessary become necessary. Now, I worked it exactly. And when Jay said, don't let the necessary become necessary, I understood exactly what he meant. I did not know if it was an investigation. What do you mean? What was an investigation? You lost me a little bit there, Susie. You did not know it was an investigation. What was an investigation? I'm lost with that one, guys. You have to help me out with that. And that's another thing, too. I will always ask for clarity on things simply because if I'm not sure, I say I'm not sure. Because if you react to something that you thought somebody said and you're totally wrong, oh, Lord. Now you done open up a rabbit hole that creates a whole nother problem. But anyway, so before, what time is it? Oh, okay, 12:47. I agree. An older man is wiser. I agree. As older men, it's wiser to consider consequences. Actually, at any age, Jeff, any age. I teach that to my young ones in the mentor program. Please count the cost. Please consider. I say the same thing to my daughter. She's 8. Think of what you're going to lose or gain before you do it. And the younger we can teach that, the younger ages we can teach that, the better decisions our young adults will make. Life is all about positive or negative consequences to action. The younger that we can teach the kids to try to make the best decision, even in a bad situation. I am in Delaware, currently. Originally from New York. Born in New York, raised in New York, and then came here about 6 years ago. After I left teaching, I didn't want my daughter to start school in New York City, so I brought her to here in Delaware. And so she's here and actually learning Mandarin Chinese, which she would have never got to study in New York. So it was a good move. I left education early. I took an early retirement. I could have stayed till 25 years, but I left after 22 because I did not want to wait the 3 years and have my daughter start school in New York. So I left to come here, and I believe it was a great move simply because of how well my daughter is doing and also the program that she's in. So, but yes, I'm in Delaware. And where are you from? If I didn't get that already, I battle. And again, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, professional counselor, author, educator, and mentor. And I am on every Friday, 11:30. Only time I come on live. I do pop in other people's lives from time to time, not that often. But every Friday now, every Friday, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Hey, Maryland, that's where my father is in. Is it District Heights? I believe my father's in District Heights or Capitol Heights. Wherever the stadium is, he's not too far from the stadium there in District Heights or Capitol Heights. I always forget which one. I just was on the phone with him last night. You are someone worth listening to. Good content. I will be back. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to bring to the table what I'd like to see, as they say. I'd like to tell her. Oh yes, ni hao. That I know. Ni hao. Hello. Yeah, originally from Boston. Cool. Yes, she actually teaches me. But this is her third year. She started in kindergarten, so she's in third grade, actually fourth year. Yes, Capitol Heights. Then yes, it's Capitol Heights off of Ritchie Road or something, I think it is. But yeah, Capitol Heights, because I know when we get off the expressway, the stadium is not too far, and then he's about maybe 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I'm not sure, from the stadium. So yeah, and my son is at McDaniels. Was at McDaniels College. He graduates this January. Is it McDaniels State or McDaniels College? But yeah, he's graduating. So yeah, my family's in Maryland. Maryland was one of the states that I was going to move to, but it's the taxes that you get the tax break here in Delaware. Plus, I knew I was starting my second business, so I knew I was going to start it here in Delaware. So I just settled here. There's only like 1 million people in this state, so but that's cool. Originally from Boston. I have been to Massachusetts a few times, but I have not been to Boston. I've been to Springfield, to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and what is that, the Great Adventure or whatever up there. So yes, I will tell. Yes, the daughter's learning Mandarin, and actually, let's see. My daughter's been kindergarten, first grade, second year. This is her fourth year, and the program that she's in, she stays in until 12th grade. And they have two teachers. They have a regular teacher, and then they have their Mandarin teacher. And there is no English spoken in the Mandarin class. They all have to listen and learn through Mandarin, and it is tough. Tax breaks are great there. Yes, a lot. Yes. I transferred my LLC from New York here, and I have an LLC. I have a publishing company, and I have a consulting company, and both are registered here in Delaware. For the tax breaks, yes, of course. That's why everybody puts their LLCs here. It's one of the best places in the country. And I appreciate the hearts. I still see the hearts going up. So if you guys like to, please tap the screen. All right. The hearts trigger this live to be moved around to different people's For You page. So please tap the hearts while we're here. Thank you so much. I see you guys tapping. I appreciate that. And again, I still got a couple more minutes. I'm here for a couple more minutes. So this is still an open QA and check-in. So if you have just popped in, tell me where you're from, or if you have a question, by all means, let me know. I'm here for it. We've had religious conversations, intimacy conversations, kids conversations about children today. Woo! I never know where it's going to go. That's why I leave the Q&A open. I just try to be respectful of the things that people ask. I even have my credentials called into question, which is okay. That's part of it too. I respect that. I'm actually glad that that person did that because, some people want to know, like, what is it that you do? And that's cool. And this is what we have to do. I think the thing is we have to be okay with someone saying, I don't believe you, or I'm not sure about you. We got to be okay with that. Now, once you explain it if the person still wants to get at you, leave it alone. But for the most part, yeah, we gotta be able to have those conversations. What are your views on the economy and where it's headed? That's a tough one. I believe that we took a bigger hit from COVID than the government is letting on. I think we lost more lives than people are actually saying, because every industry is suffering from people that they can't find to fill those positions. Why? If so many people are unemployed, like they said, I believe more people lost their lives than they said, and that has created a dip in the economy. And I also think that people need to start paying attention that economies are affected by previous leadership. So a lot of the problem that we have is what wasn't done from the previous leadership, but people are so in the moment right now. This is that. There was bad business being done by a bad businessman in that leader position, and we're now paying the price for it. And I think everybody has to be very mindful of how they spend their money, how they save their money, and try to cut as many inconsequentials as they can, because right now we're in a bad place in terms of our connections to other countries because of what just happened over these last 6 years. And you cannot I can't look at today. I'm a big guy, right? So if I was to go, oh my God, I'm heavy. I didn't just get heavy today. I would have to go back and actually look at what have I been doing I'm 54. I'm about to be 55 later this month. I have to go back and look over my life and go, well, what was I doing that emotionally or physically caused me to be here? Address all of that. And then what's going to be my plan going forward? We, however, because the media has become, everybody runs to their corner and yells and screams, that we don't even take into consideration that this is the product of, but we don't have that conversation. And sadly, because there's money being made by just yelling and screaming from whatever position that you're in. And we're in the worst state as a country, or in the world too, than we've ever been in, because everybody is just centered on running to the right, running to the left. Nobody wants to come to the middle and have a conversation. And here's the reason why. Lies are being rewarded. We were taught at a very early age, liars never prosper. But we know that's not true anymore. And there was a reason why that phrase was drummed into our heads, was because once you start to accept the lies, there is no boundaries. There's no guardrails. Think about it. If you say, Keith, you stole something from me. No, I didn't. I wasn't even there that night. Keith, I have you on video stealing from me. Nah, that video's fake. I don't know what you're talking about. That ain't me. You only saying that because you don't like me. But when you stole something, it was okay, right? And you can keep going in these stupid circles, but the guardrails keep disappearing, because now we're arguing over if something even happened, but yet we know something happened. Come on, and after a while you get frustrated and just go, oh, the hell with it, which is what the thief wants you to do to begin with. Thank you so much, T-Battle. But that's I just look at it for what it is. I'm a realist. I see the world for what it is. I don't worry about what somebody tries to manipulate. The atmosphere in the world seems so heartless for of course, because low-income communities are the lifebloods of any community, because that's where you get your service people from. That's where you get your slaves from. And once you put people in a position where they have nothing, then they have to come to you with their hands out, which means you can dictate whatever you want to them in any community. Here's a question. What are some of the first steps of building positive change in our personal lives? Step back and address the things that you want, and then address yourself. First of all, address yourself. Self-reflection is one of the first things. And then sit down and create a plan to be successful in, I'll give it to you right here, because it's one of the things I teach. Hold on one second. So if you guys might want to grab a pen. I'm glad you asked that question. Hold on, where's my notes here? All right. Sure, we are guilty until proven. Well, listen, many of us have always been guilty till proven innocent. It's just that cameras allow us to see it more now. Many of us have been guilty before proven innocent, except that now we have cameras that prevent us from being hung from trees faster. But it's nothing new. It's just cameras are exposing things that have already been there. Okay, so here's the thing. If you want to be successful, if you want to redefine success, right? You want to break success down to 5 areas. So, and if somebody's rocking with me, put it in the chat in case somebody else missed what I say. Here's the 5 successful areas. 1, your spiritual positioning. That's number 1, your spiritual positioning. Number 2, your professional positioning. Number 3, your physical positioning. Number 4, your mental/emotional positioning. And number 5, your social interactions or your social positioning. Those 5 areas have to be addressed at the same time to help you become all around successful, because each one will feed into the other. Each one will give you a positioning to help change you to something better. Now, the 5 questions that you need to ask yourself. Who is it that you want to be as a spiritual person? Thank you so much. Is that iBattle? Appreciate that. Here's the first question, number 1, that goes with number 1, the spiritual positioning. Please repeat. The 5 are above you right there, Jeff. Battle just put it in for you. Oh, with the mental, it's mental and emotional. But I'll go over them real quick. Number 1, spiritual. Number 2, professional. Number 3, physical. L battle. There, thank you. I figured it out. I realized that was an L, not an I. Number 3, physical. Number 4, mental/emotional positioning. And number 5, your social. Now, question number 1 that goes with number 1. Who do you want to be spiritually? Which means your moral character, your moral fiber. Who do you want to be spiritually? Number 2, what do you want? What is this again? You got to just jump in, hang out with us for a second. I'm not going to start over till I'm done. What do you want to achieve professionally? That goes with number 2, professional. Number 3, what do you want to do with your health? Where do you want your health to be? Number 4, where do you want your mind and emotions to be? Where do you want your emotional and mental to be? And the last one, what do you want from your social connections? Now, all 5 of those areas, when you answer, you need to take time with all 5 of the questions, because in taking time with the questions, as you answer those, it'll trigger how you're going to start to do the work. Because it is one thing to do the self-reflection. The next thing is the work that needs to be done with the self-reflection. So the 5 areas of success that I gave you to redefine success for yourself, the 5 questions are now necessary to trigger your thoughts about what it is that you want to do with all 5 of the areas. And here is the format, real quick, for each area. All right, because it's 3 parts. Create a vision, create goals, develop a strategy, and find accountability. For each of the 5 areas, create a vision, create goals, develop a strategy, and find accountability for each of the 5 areas. And what you will start to see is yourself becoming more successful at being who you really are. And all of a sudden, personally, things change, which then professionally, things change. Physically, things change. Socially, things change. And emotionally, and everything else. And all of a sudden, you have now started to move yourself into better circles, connecting to better situations and different people who can actually help you grow. But you got to have a stronger understanding of yourself. I went to a business conference a couple weeks back, and when the young lady taught that, it was outstanding, because I've been sharing that with my clients and I've been doing it for myself. And the funny thing is, I was already doing it, but when she redefined it for me, made it easier for me, because now I was like, okay, I already know what I need to do. Because the comfort in all of this is you have to understand yourself. When I get on live, I'm not worried about drama. I'm not worried about foolishness. I don't have time for that. What I'm worried about is, am I getting better at being the best me? Am I a good father? Am I a good husband? Am I a good role model? Am I a good teacher? I'm slow. I need a recorder. Actually, here's the thing. This will be on YouTube. All of my lives will be uploaded to YouTube pretty much, if not by the end of the day, by tomorrow. So you can go to my YouTube page and check out all my videos. And actually, you can see I got about 300, almost 400 something videos on my YouTube page. That's where I house all my material. That way I have a record if something happens to me. So, yeah, I have a systematical approach. The problem that I have is that I'm a people person. So I actually have to set my phone to do the paperwork sometimes because I'm an analytical people person. But when it comes to doing paperwork, I hate that. That's why I have assistants to help me. But it's necessary. But you have to have some type of plan of action to be better. Someone mentioned about all I talk about is my education. No, I mentioned my education because I had to put in work to get those degrees, but those degrees showed me how to do research so I can help people by going to get quality information. And then in getting the quality information, I then have to be able to disperse it verbally so people can get it. Or I write books too. So in writing books, again, it gives people an opportunity to be able to indulge in the things that I present. And what educator of substance, if you're an educator, let me rephrase that. If you're an educator of substance, or if you're a person trying to help people and you have substance to who you are, your ability to converse and your ability to open up dialogue that a person can receive on their level is paramount. I don't talk down to people. Have a nice day, Joyce. Appreciate you stopping by. I don't talk down to people, and I don't engage in rude conversations because it spirals down to negativity. No one gains from that. Thank you for that. That's why we do the Q&A. Hey, if by the end of the time I get off here, somebody got something that helped them, then I feel good. So I appreciate that. Thank you for the question. And again, guys, if you're here, this is a Q&A. You are cool and calm. I've heard you on other lives where a gentleman did not agree with you, and you can continue the rest of that. But I'm always respectful. Thank you. I appreciate it. I must have a connection. It's putting pieces of the puzzle. There we go. Hey, this is where you were supposed to be today. I respect that. I'm glad I could help. Yeah, L Battle, the idea, thank you so much, C Poetry. L Battle, the thing is, somebody else can't dictate my behavior. I control that. And people will come at me. I've had some people come at, and I think the best one is because I work mostly with women. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Joyce. I've had people come at me and go, "You a simp. You be on here for these women." Really? Why you say that? Because I say it in a way you can't? You mad that the women react to me? So what you really mad at? Let's talk. Because often if you look at the initial of what is said, there's always more there. So my thing is, then let's get to what the more is. You really have an issue with a man helping women? Really? So what's the other side of that coin? You're okay with a man disrespecting women? Or are you mad at my style of how I do what I do? And that sounds a little envious, but we can talk about it. So what is really your problem? You don't like the way I look? Okay. You don't like the way the women might be reacting to me? Okay. And they still wouldn't listen. But you know what? Like Leela James says, hold on a second. Blame it on me. It's all me. If it makes you feel better, go and say it's my fault. Because at the end of the day, I can't worry about how somebody reacts to what I say. Two great points right there. Challenges expose true motives, without question. Just be you. A preacher told me, play to your strengths, don't strengthen your weaknesses. Don't strengthen your weaknesses. You'll only make stronger weaknesses. Blame it on Keith. That's right. Come on, blame it on me. And that's so true, Jeff. The thing is, you shouldn't feed your weaknesses. Remove them. Address them. And then remove them. And the one thing, El Battle, I don't do, I'm not here to make everybody happy. So if they want to blame it on me, well, and I'm a big fan of music. Y'all see it in all my posts on my page. Hi, this is Brandon from Wisconsin. Can you pray for me? My mom, she's in the hospital. Got you, Brandon. Will do. Listen, everybody that's a praying person right now, take a second and pray for Brandon's mother. Father, come before you. Amen. Got you, Brandon. Done. Done. Prayer's already sent. That's another thing, too. When somebody asks you for prayer, don't worry. Stop what you're doing. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Because for a person to step out and say, can you offer? Prayer is the easiest thing to offer, but may create the greatest door opener that a person needs. Stop what you're doing. Go ahead and offer them prayer. So to all my praying folks on here, take 10, 15 seconds and offer the Lord a word for Brandon. We don't need to know anything else other than just take care of his mom. He'll know what to do at that point. And no, you can't make anyone happy. That's why I love music. On spot. There you go. Thank you. Do it now. And the reason why I said it just right there, exclusive, do it then, because if we wait, we may forget. Do it then. Do it then. We never know where it's going to go. We may never see Brandon again, but he popped in here at this moment right now, so let's go. Let's give it to him. Come on, Leela. You're just who you are. Shouldn't have let this thing go so far. I love music. I love Leela James. If y'all ain't into Leela James, you playing yourself. Put it on me. I'm okay with folks not liking me. I'm not built for everybody. Even the Lord said, my sheep will hear my voice. He didn't say everybody. Oh, I want to take this call. Oh, I can't. All right, I'll take it later. And I use music as a form of expression because often the music will say exactly what I'm feeling. Never thought that we'd end like this. But you fooled me. When we made love, it was fake love. Let me tell you something. Leela James's lyrics is on point. Was it really real? Was it really real? Did you ever feel for me? Like I felt for you? Put it on me. Hey, you have a great day too, love. I'm actually going to get ready to get off. It's almost 1 o'clock. Well, actually 1. El Battle, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yes, I'll be on every Friday, 11:30, God willing. And I love the fact that you guys came and joined me today. I love the conversation. And so I appreciate all of you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rock out to Leela James just a little more. And when the song ends, so does this live. So again, I appreciate you. If you need to reach me or want to talk to me further, all my information is in my bio. This replay will be on YouTube, so you can go over to YouTube and watch the replay if you want to send anybody over to watch it in case there's anything that you missed. And so I appreciate you. So we're going to rock out to Leela James, and then we're going to get ready to get out of here in a few minutes. So, and I'm the easiest person to find. All you got to do is a Google search. I'm here. Why the hell did it take so long to leave? If it makes you feel better, put it on me. Makes you feel better. But anyway, guys, let me get ready to go. Let me stop this here. So again, it has been my pleasure. I thank you for everyone that interacted with me today. I pray that you have a wonderful day and that you are safe and that you get everything out of today and the weekend and the days to come that you deserve. Thank you. I will see you next Friday, 11:30. And again, it'll be an open Q&A unless I pick a particular subject to have a conversation with. Thank you so much. Please come by my page, like as many videos as you can. But again, thank you. Tell somebody about me, share, and all that other stuff. And I'm here. And again, if you need me professionally, you know how to reach me. Have a wonderful day, guys. God bless.